Baddie Besties on the road meets VESTER.
Hi ladies.
We are here today with Nicole Liu at VESTER Cafe.
Welcome to VESTER Southie, our second location with free communal workspace and all your favorite VESTER refreshments.
Make sure you check it out.
Hey girls!
Hey.
Hey Besties! Welcome to our first episode of Baddie Besties on the Road. I'm your host, Alyssa.
And I'm your co-host, Samira, aka Samski.
And today,
yes, we have a special segment. It's Hey Barbie meets Baddie Besties on the Road. So if you haven't heard yet, Hey Barbie is our series. Fun facts, BuzzFeed says Barbie had over 250 jobs dating back to 1959. Okay, Barbie was booked and busy. Barbie was a president. Barbie was an astronaut. And today, Barbie is an entrepreneur. I'm so excited to introduce Nicole Liu, the woman behind Boston's hottest cafe, VESTER Cafe. And mind you, we are live in the scene, baby.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. It is such an honor. She's booked and busy, so for her to take the time out of her day to have us, we feel so honored and
pleasure.
blessed. But she pays it forward, okay?
Yeah.
Nicole is just, she's a girl's girl.
I try.
So we're gonna get into everything from branding, burnout, to menu design, and we're gonna get in, just know who Nicole is. So that introduces us to our first segment, where vision meets reality. So I really want to dive into your background, and the first question really is, what season of your life were you in when you had the idea of VESTER, when it came into you, in the spark?
Oh my gosh. I think the right answer would be to say that I was, breaking through with imagination and creativity, but truly when I designed VESTER, I was at a big crossroads. And that crossroads, I was 28 when VESTER opened, so I was 26, 27 when the opportunity came.
Wow.
And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my future. I had absolutely no interest actually in being an entrepreneur.
No way.
You already know. So you two are a lot more brave than I am because you know your path. But 26-year-old me, I knew what I was good at, and that was hospitality. I knew what I was passionate for, and that was food and beverage. I worked my whole life in this industry. But when this opportunity to open up VESTER came, I realized the magnitude of what could be. And I couldn't say no to that. And it was a decision, and it really came down to that. And that was 7 years ago.
Wow, that's amazing. So what was the earliest version of this vision that you had of VESTER Cafe?
Great question, because not a lot of people know this, but when I first had the opportunity to have a cafe, and that was the Cambridge location, I was like, okay, let me just put together this concept. Let's just call it Coco Cafe, because Coco is my childhood nickname. And although I didn't love the name, I learned to embrace it, and I was like, all right, Coco Cafe, no problem. It's gonna be chic, it's gonna be brass, white, very, very feminine. And then I spoke with my lawyer, and he said, do you know how hard it is to trademark that name? Let's not even begin. And that was the first lesson in business. Okay, let's build your business like it's going to be McDonald's.
Wow.
So start from there. Pick a name that is unique to you and trademark it globally. So VESTER is mine. But it forced me, that question from my lawyer actually forced me to dig deeper. And I was like, wow, what is really special and unique to me? Not just, a name that I was given or something that I've come around to. What is unique to my story? And I thought back to all my travels, which really designed who I am today, my experiences. And my trip to VESTER in Copenhagen 14 years ago which sparked this idea of VESTER. And that neighborhood that reincarnated, that meatpacking district that was turned over by small businesses, restaurants, and that reincarnation is what inspired me. And so VESTER became trademarked, and it wasn't feminine with brass and white tile. It was dark, and it was a night concept that was made to serve the day. And that was really who I wanted to be. I wanted to be diverse. I wanted to be multicultural, and that is where the platform of VESTER became.
Wow, that's amazing. A night concept to serve the day.
Wow. Which is, that's powerful. I mean, to be honest, Nicole is a pure definition of VESTER. I mean, she's serving night, but she is like conquering the day right now.
Yes.
Thank
This blazer is everything. She's eating it up.
She emanates power.
Yes.
May your shoulders be as high as your standards.
Oh,
You heard that? She's a gem drop for this one. May your shoulders be as high as your standards.
There you go.
Wow. That's amazing.
I love that. So I wanted to hear more about your trip in Copenhagen. What made you feel drawn? I know our travels really play a big part of our experience, and I mean, you brought VESTER Bro.
Yes, VESTER Bro.
And you went ahead and recreated to VESTER.
Exactly.
So I'd love to hear more about your trip. And
Right. So 14 plus years ago, Copenhagen was having a total renewal of chefs, right?
Yeah.
So the best restaurant at the time, Noma, Rene Redzepi, he's a breakthrough chef and researcher in the food industry now. All these amazing establishments were coming out of Denmark, and I was like, what is going on over there? And ever since I was really young, I mean, I grew up in a family of restaurateurs. My parents had the first fine dining gourmet Chinese restaurant in the country, Sally Lane's here in Boston on the waterfront. And so to say that...
Wait, and your sister has...
And my sister, she has her own line of restaurants.
Yeah.
So like this, to say that we chose our profession almost feels like a lie because it chose us. It chose us. And we have had such great fortune to have parents to raise us in a home that values dining, that values seeing other cultures, and traveling to eat. And so this hunger to see other countries, and when I was researching and learned about this revival in Copenhagen, I really wanted to see it firsthand. And it was at a time where I was searching for myself, my direction, my career, and I think that alignment was at the perfect place, perfect time. And I left Copenhagen thinking, if I ever create something, it'll be about my experience here.
Wow,
that is so powerful.
Yeah, the simplicity of it all, the design, the aesthetic, and the ethos, the values of less is more is so important to me and so important to VESTER.
Wow, less is more. That's amazing. I didn't know that about your family, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was really meant to be.
It was meant to be.
Yeah.
It's our destiny.
Wow. I love that. I know also when it comes to being a business owner, and I know you've had the path because it was your destiny. I'm curious to hear what fears maybe came on early on, because we'll get into this more, but Nicole, she comes from the Langham group. She's well in the hospitality space, but creating your own is different. So just curious to hear, how did you push through those fears, and what would you tell the women and the girls today that are listening, maybe when they're thinking about starting something brand new?
Absolutely. Great questions. Absolutely. When you pursue your dream, whatever that might be, if it's entrepreneurship, opening up brick and mortar, starting your business, there are so many challenges and there's so many unknowns, and how can you possibly know what you don't know? And the first step is acceptance, right? I don't know what I'm getting myself into. I'm going to do my research. I think the best thing that you can do as a first timer when you're creating something is to just educate yourself. Ask questions, ask people in the industry for their opinions. The amount of people that come to me now and be like, I want to open this, or I have this idea for that, and I'm just trying to get some feedback, that is so important and so key, and very, very smart of them. Surveying people around you, your community, but also just learning about what it is that you're getting into, educating yourself on what it entails to pursue that path. And then of course the money aspect, right? Every business, every startup requires financials. And surrounding yourself with important people that can help you with that, because I can tell you math is not my first strength. I might be Asian, but it's not. So, finding people and surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. I think a lot of times we feel, especially as women, we can get intimidated, or we can feel a lot of fears around, I don't want to ask for help, or I want to figure this out by myself, or if we're really ambitious, right? I know all three of us have kind of that ambitious drive, and we're first gen, so there's that, energy of like, exactly, right? So there's like, but that moves me into the next segment, right? Built from scratch. It's been super, super important to learn and to ask questions and to put yourself out there, to learn the things that you don't know, because if you don't know it, you're never going to get anywhere, right? So,
and I want to really talk about too the alarming stat that only 2% of women of color get funded. Right,
2%.
Only 2%.
I didn't even know that.
And mind you, we're the most educated in all of the United States.
I'm not surprised by that.
But isn't that
with
sad
the most degrees and the most, it's a really sad stat.
Very disappointing.
Very disappointing, very sad. And one, I wanted to hear more about the financials, and then I know you have a brick and mortar location, so I want to know too, what was like the hardest part in starting your own physical location?
Gosh, getting funded is so important, right? And then first of all, knowing how much you need and how you're going to spend it, that's your responsibility, right? And you can learn how to do that. You can Google how to arrange for that, almost, depending on what you're starting. However, getting funding is a whole different other story. I was able to ask a few important individuals for loans, and it's amazing when you start a business and you ask for funding, how quickly the people that you thought were close to you
are not close to you anymore.
Nicole. And you're like, wow, okay, this is validating.
Wow. Sometimes I said this. Sometimes it'll be your own people, like people that you thought were close. It'll be like a stranger will support you more than the people.
It's amazing. It's the people that come out of the woodwork, the people that disappear. So it's a great lesson. But that being said, I had a little bit of personal support from other relationships, and then I also went to my local bank. So that's something that is important to also look into. Look your bank, your credit card, whoever, what kind of corporations can support this opportunity. So that's step one. And then, step two, the question was building from scratch, right? How to create a brick and mortar.
Well, what was your experience?
Building these physical locations. I mean, I know you have more than one, but what was that like your very first one?
Like literally going to Cambridge City Hall and being like, I'm applying for a common vicular, which is the right to operate, right? There's so many steps, and it's like, and paying in cash or check because credit card's not allowed, or like the office hours of when to see this person, and city officials can sometimes be a little cranky, I'm not gonna lie. So, being able to be, show up and being super pleasant for that. Talking to the landlord, negotiating the right lease, dealing with your broker. There's so many layers to opening up a brick and mortar that I don't think anyone ever really lays out for you, and all of them are important at the same time. So this is really it's trial by fire, and I'm sorry the answer is not direct. I think a lot of it also is in the divine timing of it, right? So for example, sometimes an opportunity or a lease is coming to a place where the broker's like, hey, this opportunity came up, do you want it? And then you're faced with this decision of, do I want this location? Okay, and then the timeline starts there. Or sometimes you're like, okay, I'm actually looking for a space. Or the first question is, okay, I have an idea and I need to actually start funding, and then I'll look for spaces. So depending on the person, depending on the concept, I think the steps differ, if that makes sense.
It does. I think as an entrepreneur too, there's not necessarily a blueprint to follow, right? That's why it's so important to have. There's no blueprint.
We're all figuring it out.
We're all figuring it out.
I think though, when you see someone online, social media, it could you could think they have it all together.
All the time. Isn't that the point of social media?
Yeah.
To show
The
our best
highlight
self?
reel, the
Yeah.
highlight reel. But I just want you to know, if you're watching it today, if you see any successful entrepreneur, they are all figuring it out as they're going. Like, as much as you can Google something, sometimes it's like you got to get into the weeds of it. You're figuring it out. Like,
Exactly.
so much Google can,
Yes.
there's so much it can do.
It's the preliminary.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's so much that you don't know, right? And there's so much that you need to learn and grow into, and that's just part of it, right? That's the name of the game.
Yeah, but be aware that there's a lot, especially, we're talking to the girly tier woman. If you send them a message, ask for 10, 15 minutes. Like, they are people that want to help you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You're going to meet people that want to pay it forward. And the people that have learned their lessons, the people that you want to associate with are the ones that want to pay it forward and share.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
So that brings me to my next questions too. Where are there moments in your journey, and especially like while you're creating that first VESTER, where you're like, this is not going to happen, or like, it's not working out right now?
Right.
Yeah.
So the opening stages to the first the first VESTER in Cambridge.
Yeah.
That was a hectic time, but what was hard was that we opened in August of 2018, and then in January of 2019, I had $5,000 left in the bank.
Wow.
My rent was $9,000.
Wow.
And then we're not talking labor, product, cost of goods sold.
Wow.
So things were tight, and you're in a dark place, and you have little time to act, little time to move, and so I never had a question of, is this going to work? The only idea and mindset is, how do I make it work?
Mm-hmm. That's the one.
It's never an if. It's always a what can we do? How can we do it? How efficiently and how quickly can we make it happen?
Absolutely.
Wow.
I think that's a common thread too that I've been seeing with entrepreneurs, or even with our Hey Barbie series, right? Having that in your mind, an opportunity, a growth mindset, a positive outlook. There's gonna be challenges, there's gonna be ups and downs.
And it's not always positive. Yeah. The amount of times I've screamed into a pillow, saw stars, like it's not like thousands of stars.
I appreciate you sharing that.
So real.
Yeah. It's hard. It's really hard, and it's not pretty.
Yeah, and especially too, like, you have employees. You have there's a lot of people counting on you as well.
Yeah.
So
Many people lean on the business.
Yeah. Wow.
How is that? How is that, being able to, or being in a position where you have this deep responsibility to so many people, and even your partners, right, earlier, you mentioned your partners for the matcha, for example, and you have to make sure that you're maintaining those relationships and the bills are being paid and you're taking care of your employees, right?
Exactly.
I'm sure that probably weighs on you, at least to some degree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, what I've learned in the last 7 years and all of the trials that I've been put through with the business is, yes, I came out here to open a concept. Our service and our product is food and beverage, and to serve the community. But in the long haul, for me, what has been most important to the value of the company is being a good employer. And that for me is just as important as being a responsible company is to be a responsible employer.
Yeah, that's really important. I wanted to ask, it is also AAPI month.
Yes.
We know how your Chinese culture, your heritage is a really big part of who you are. For those that are watching, also me and Liz, I'm Haitian American.
I'm Cape Verdean.
American, so we're both product of immigrants, and mind you, it does weigh.
Yes.
It does weigh because we have a lot. We are trying to really be a good
Up-level.
Up level, and just our parents too. We got standards to meet.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to know, how has it been being a woman of color in the Boston startup space? How has that been? How has it impacted your journey, and how have you used your Chinese heritage to really create VESTER?
Full transparency, it never occurred to me. When I opened up the business, I never thought about being a woman, excuse me, I never thought about being a Chinese American. I just thought I'm an equal out there doing her thing, right? I'm just, you know, I don't care if you're, you know, a chef and a man who's 50 and has had 10 restaurants, and I don't care if you are from, you know, X place and you're 30 years old and you choose to be in the same industry. It never occurred to me. But as I continued to operate, I realized that it matters to other people. And so the fact that it matters to others, I am more vocal about it now, right? And I never thought that VESTER would end up being a female-owned and operated company. It just kind of fell into place like that. It wasn't intentional. That's just how it formed. It was really organic. And so my answer to you is that, you know, it really matters now because that's the topic in the dialogue these days. But it was never the intention.
Wow. But it's also an inspiration for others, right? Like watching you. I mean, even us being a woman of color, to see that you were able to do it, like you were able to figure it out, like it makes us feel like we can do it too.
Yes, that's not even a question.
I know. I was already asking behind the scenes. I'm like, we got to bring VESTER to Miami. What do we got to do?
I would love that.
I was like, what do we got to do?
It would fit really well.
For sure. That brings us to our next segment because the brand is you, right? And VESTER. So this is really going to be talking about the emotional labor, being founder, being the face. We really want to know how you maintain your identity outside of VESTER.
Yes.
So what does burnout look like for you, and how do you cope? What are your mechanisms for other entrepreneurs that are watching? How do you handle it all? How do you balance? I know that word.
Yes.
Right.
There is no balance. Let's just accept that, because for me, it was a goal to have balance when I opened up the business. I knew what it would take. But I've come to realize there is no such thing as balance when you own your concept with businesses, multiple, you know, dozens of people relying on you. There is a work-life harmony that you can try and figure out, and you have to decide.
She's a gem dropper.
Work-life harmony?
Work-life harmony is something that you have to create, and that's unique to each of you, right? And to each of your stages in life, right? Maybe work-life harmony for me back then is not what it is now. But burnout is real, and depending on how the business evolves, there are traumas, there are huge challenges, there are threats, and I've experienced that. And I'm not saying that you know, it won't happen again. When you open yourself to creating a business, you open yourself to all of it. And I think preventing burnout is everyone's own journey. For me, that was finding spirituality. So learning to lean on meditation, Ayurvedic practitioner. I have one. What is that? That's like an Indian mind, body, soul theory to approaching your health. So diet is really important. Exercise, the thoughts that you think to yourself, the people that you surround yourself with. It's a daily practice. Therapy for many. So therapy and balance is different to everybody, and I think it's important for you to figure out what it is that works for you.
I definitely think it's unique, right, to each individual person, and finding what they need for their work-life harmony, right? I'm curious, do you feel like you're able to separate Nicole, the CEO boss, and Nicole at home, or Nicole, you know, the center of like your being, or do you feel like maybe as an entrepreneur they kind of mesh and they're one?
I would say a few years ago it was one. Over time, as the business has developed, I've been able to create more space from it. And I kind of think of it, even though I don't have kids, I think of it like having a kid. You know, when it's an infant, when it's a newborn, you need to mother it. It's with you. You're nurturing it 24/7, and that separation doesn't really exist. But over time, as it's developing and it's growing, it's kind of creating it, you know, it's becoming its own thing.
It can walk on its own.
I told her that. I was like, right now it feels like
the baby.
It feels like we're moms.
Literally.
We can't let it go.
On the nipple.
Like newborn. And then eventually it can walk
when does it come off the nipple?
Different for everybody. But yeah, I think now as time has moved on, me and my business have a better lane that we intersect and separate with. And I have to create that too.
Yeah. Wow. So as you have grown, I know VESTER's off the nipple. VESTER's walking, is running. So how has the definition of success shifted from when you started VESTER to now?
Great question. When VESTER first started, it was all about making the loans back, right? How can I not be in the red? How can I establish my product, get decent people to work for us, get the word out, get a decent following, and make revenue, right? It was very textbook. Now that we have some foundation underneath us, the goal is, well, what are we doing this for? Why are we here? Right? Who are we here for, and how are we paying it forward? So the responsibility of the company is to continue serving quality, refreshing, high caliber food and beverage products. And
that you'll get.
You can count on it.
Right? And being relatable, right? And having a venue and a place where people can come to and identify with and make it their own. That's fulfilled. And that's the goal. On the flip side, why am I here? I want to be a good employer. I want to find people to do this life with, right? They say that if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you got to go together. And you have to find who is coming with us, right? Who's on the team? How do we make room for them? How can we grow them? How can they find an opportunity at VESTER for them in this stage of life? And how can they pay it forward, take it forward, and let's go the long haul? And I don't know what that is, but I think we're finding out.
Yeah, I think we're in the exact same, well, not exact same stage, but we're in that okay, it's time to build a team. It's time to bring people. As much as we want to have our baby with us, but it's for us to be successful and grow, you can't do it alone.
You can't do it alone.
Especially, we're learning.
Yes. And there's a certain time when you need to bring those people on. I didn't have the luxury of bringing those people on very early because money is a thing, right?
Girl,
and,
we know.
You got to pay it forward financially. You got to pay it forward ethically. But it's all about the timing and you realizing when it's time to make moves for the business.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important to get the right people, people who see your vision, who you connect with, who believes in the vision, right? And obviously when you're moving yourself and everything you do has that integrity in it, that the ethicals, right, the ethics, and you care, of course, the people that you're bringing in, you want to make sure that they're being served as well, right? That they are going to grow as well, and that it's a beneficial situation for both parties, and you're moving further together, right? You're moving far together. So I love that. It's great to hear, and I know Samira and I, anytime we hear what resonates with us and what rings true, it makes us feel like we're on the right path.
Absolutely.
Even meeting you and how we met and how it's just the connection, it feels like we're on the right path.
We're all on the right path.
You're confirming a lot of the intuition for us today too.
It's here, it's real.
Introducing our next segment, curating the culture. So Nicole, this segment's really about VESTER's full sensory experience. We are now sitting in the Southie location, which is completely different from Cambridge, but it's a vibe, honey. So I really want to get in. What was the most important, especially when it came to designing the Cambridge location, and what was the design? What was the most important thing that you wanted them to feel when somebody walked in?
I wanted them to feel cool.
Cool.
So Kendall Square is in the heart of MIT, right? And it's super sciencey. Everyone's super smart. You're getting I think the top 5% of brain cells in the world. And sometimes there's not a lot of swagger there, right? You have Starbucks. That's great. Love Starbucks. You have a lot of generic things, let's just say.
Yeah.
But you don't really have a lot of atmospheres. However, MIT is an international hub where you have a lot of sophisticated, smart people coming from all over the world. And they want something that they identify with. They want something that they can relate to. And when I've traveled through all these different countries, there's one string that kind of brings it all together, and that's a great cafe or a great coffee shop. Okay? And whether that's in Italy, France, Dubai, Shanghai.
You have that spot.
Yeah, it's an atmosphere, right? That can be casual, it can be formal, it can be whatever you want it to be. So when I designed VESTER, I really had the audience in mind. I was like, where can we create an atmosphere that is trendy, that's chic, that's relatable, but can be fast casual at the same time, but we can also throw private events, cocktail hours, and do something for networking, because there's so much of that in Cambridge. So it was designed for the people, and that's what I wanted to create. And then I designed kind of the flair, the little things.
Wow.
So one thing she mentioned was VESTER, for the people, by the people. That's something that you embody. I want to know how important that plays into just everything down to like the menu, the food. Want to hear more about that as well.
So the first location of VESTER, it's in the heart of MIT, right? And MIT, I think you're probably getting the top 5% of brain cells in the world.
They are.
They're curing cancer, they're curing everything. And when I think of MIT and super smart people, I'm not always sensing that there's going to be a sexy spot or sexy vibes over there. And so
you're going to bring the sexy.
Exactly. And so when I'm thinking about this demographic, there are super smart people coming from every end of the world, coming to MIT, going to Harvard. We're all in that geographic area and we're all blending together. And so when I created VESTER, I really started with the people and the demographic in mind. How old are they? What are they doing? Where are they coming from? Where do they need to go? What salary bracket are they in? Right? All of this is information in order for us to better deliver our product. And so when I say by the people, for the people, we're thinking about who we're serving, but also my staff, the ones that are making the drinks, serving the food, cleaning up the plates when people leave. They're the ones that are looking at who's consuming it, right? And they're the ones that are most equipped to tell me, Nicole, we need this, we need that, we need this flavor, we need this special, people are asking for this. You have to listen to your audience, and of course you are the gatekeeper for what is within the brand standards, but it's so important to listen to your audience and listen to your team in order to refine your product to give back out.
Absolutely. I think when it comes to selling anything, right, any product or any service that you're delivering, it's incredibly important to know who's on the other side, right? Your ideal client, your ideal buyer, your bullseye person, right? What do they need? What do they want? So I think it speaks volumes even to you as the boss to consider the audience, well, even more than consider, look and see, listen to the audience, and listen to everyone who's an employee for VESTER when they bring you ideas, and you allow that agency, that creative agency, for them to, pitch to you, and they get to listen too, right?
Exactly.
Like she got all the ears listening to the streets, honey, to figure out what we need in Boston.
I mean, talking about sensory, right now we're live at VESTER Southie. There's a great smell right now. Obviously you can't smell it, but it smells good. Maybe you with the sniffles like we're dogs. What is going on in the kitchen? And we need it now.
Yes. I mean, the beauty and the goal of VESTER, which I think a lot of people do miss, is the fact that when you order, we make it to order for you, right? And there are a lot of concepts out there today, fast casual, and I won't name drop because there's no shade, but
no shade today.
There are glamorized buffet lines. This food in a bowl, weigh it, boom, here you go, right? And let's brand it as vegan, let's brand it as Mediterranean, right? And so
that's what they don't want to hear.
And it's super smart. I mean, they're geniuses, they're gazillionaires, right? But at VESTER, I think what was important for us in our neighborhoods was to create a concept where you can say, I would like this sandwich, and we take the bread that was baked fresh that day, slice it up, toast it, slice the turkey, slice the prosciutto di Parma, right? And they build it for you. And if you know you have this aversion or that aversion, we'll listen to you.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's food built, made for you, custom to order, and that's really important to us.
Yeah. So as you're evolving, as VESTER is growing, how does the brand stay consistent, right?
Yes. The brand is consistent based on our values.
Got
Right?
it,
Every company should, in my opinion, should have values that keep them together.
Yeah.
And our values is quality, refinement, daily luxuries, right? Something that you can have every day, but that's a treat for you, right? What can we do to take the everyday item and elevate it just a little bit extra?
Oh my gosh, VESTER needs to be in my kitchen.
Yes.
We need VESTER.
But there's no VESTER unless there's also hospitality, and that is that's like the final element, right? It's,
Yes.
We really try to emphasize a fun culture, a youthful culture, being relatable, being fun, being spontaneous, right?
Yeah.
Having your classics, because you know you're always going to have the classic cappuccino, good quality drip coffee, great mocha, but you should always have something fun that's new, something to chase, and those are the specials.
Wow. Okay, I love it. I love it. So we talked about the business, but we're gonna need to get on to this next segment, a little spicy, because Nicole's wrist over there looks so heavy.
Y'all see that rock?
That hand it's weighing down, honey. So maybe show them the ring. Show them the ring. So we need to hear, baby. Let the ladies know they have a stubborn man out there. They want to get that ring. What did you do to get that ring?
I have a very, very special person, a very special man, and I'd say he's very evolved, right?
Yeah.
He did the work personally for us to get to that point. I did too, but let's be honest. Like when we started hooking up, it was literally we were just hooking up, and it was never supposed to become anything.
Wow.
Babe, I think I can say that. I think we're pretty honest. So let's just be transparent. It wasn't ever supposed to transpire into marriage at all. And I think if I could go back and tell myself or anyone else who's in that dating stage of their life is the person that you choose to marry is a very personal choice.
Absolutely.
And it is one of the most important decisions that you make in your life, but it should be one of the easiest. And I think that it's so much to do with timing as well. And when I say timing, that's also what I circle back to as your destiny. Because sometimes if the timing isn't right for these two people, whatever you do, either of you, it won't work. Right?
Yeah.
And so there needs to be something bigger than the both of you that brings the both of you together. And then from there, there's still more relationship work to do. But my choice for my person, my husband, is a very personal choice that was fitting for me. And I knew based off of my personal values, we were talking about business values, I have my personal values. I found a person that intersected with my personal values and someone that I could go the distance with, you know? You always have this idea of who you're gonna end up with. Like Mr. Suave from Italy, and his name ends with an O. Right? Lorenzo, Ernesto. Anyways, so I'm not trying to imply anything here. But you have this idea of who you're supposed to be with. Wipe it away. And you need, I think what's important is to find the person that makes you become a better person.
Find the person that makes you become a better person. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. I know you mentioned it's supposed to feel like an easy choice at the end, but I'm curious, did it always feel easy for you too, or did you get to a point where it got easier?
I mean, let's just say, it was never an easy, A to Z, and some people are like,
the Cinderella
when you know,
story.
you know.
Yeah, like when,
That's great. If you know, when you see them and you know, that's great. That's real.
Yeah.
It wasn't the case for me, right?
Yeah.
We really had to work through some challenges, struggle, identity. But I think what was easy was when the time came when we both recognized, we were like, is this it? Okay. There was no question, right?
Yeah.
Because I had many opportunities to walk away, so did he.
yeah.
But we knew that we were stronger together,
Yeah.
and that was real.
Yeah.
And being honest with each other, being honest is so hard.
Yeah.
Even when that means breaking your own heart.
Yeah. Wow.
Right?
Wow.
You know, and
That's
walking away.
powerful.
But there was no, for us, in my circumstance, there was never really a need to walk away,
Okay.
right? Because I was like, what are we walking away from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're a boss, you emulate boss, and
Thank
you're
you.
running VESTER. So how has that played in your relationship?
Yes.
How does he play a part in your relationship? I know
Yes.
you're busy. The menu's always changing. It's
Yes.
seasonal.
Yes.
Right. So how is that balance?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so lucky. He's an entrepreneur as well.
Oh, so he gets it.
So he gets
Okay,
it,
yeah.
right? All right. We both understand that being founders and CEOs of your business is a very lonely place.
Yeah.
And he is able to have that dialogue with me.
Yeah.
But he's a very supportive partner in that he understands this is your world, this is your business. Like, I'm gonna support you 110%. But he holds no prisoners. Like when something seems funny or off, he'll call me out on it, right? And he'll call me out on my business decisions, or he'll weigh in and he'll be like, I know you didn't even ask, but here you go. And I'm like, no,
advice.
like, it's great.
I know, but it's good.
Yeah, it's good, right? So if you can find someone who compliments you, it's so important. And if anything, my whole team has benefited from my relationship with him, because
Yeah.
he is someone that believes in paying it forward. And so I think my team, their pockets are comfortable. Because he's like, he reminds me, babe, we're good here,
Yeah.
so take care of out there.
Okay.
Wow.
So is there anything that you recall that maybe he, maybe there's a menu item he helps with, or like something that he like really impacted? We can give him a shout out here today.
So
Right.
Harrison really, we started dating before COVID, and he really wanted me to develop a grab and go frozen meal concept called Mama Coco's.
Oh, Mama Coco.
Babe, you got the shout out.
Shout out Harrison.
Mama Coco's. So, and, you know, I haven't released that line yet. Yet.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Still ideating.
We're still R&Ding that. But it's like, you know, remember in COVID when everybody needed like something from a restaurant,
Yeah.
and they were like
Yeah.
DIY, you know,
Yeah.
like build, you know, buy the pasta, buy the sauce,
No, but
make
you,
it at home.
you can do it for the ube matcha.
Oh,
Come on.
Please,
We
The
need
packets?
it.
Yeah.
We need it.
That's a need.
Yeah, and he wanted a freezer with all these sauces, because at home I love to cook Italian. I love sauces. He's
okay.
like, you know, have your soups, have your sauces, and you know, Mama Coco's just grab and go. So
Oh.
that's his idea. We're still vetting it.
We're still betting it.
Well, Harrison, you know, you have a chance because she brought it up today.
Yeah. Keep at it. Keep poking the bear.
Awesome. So this is going to bring me to one of our final segments here. Advice for the next VESTER. So all about legacy, the future, leadership, lifting others. I really wanted to ask, what's something you wish someone has told you before opening the doors at VESTER? Just a path for somebody listening today that maybe wants to open a brick and mortar store.
Wow, there's so many lessons, but I think if someone is looking to open a brick and mortar, I would say first give yourself some grace. Okay, because if you're ambitious enough to go and pursue this concept and open a physical manifestation of it, you're a
Brave.
go-getter. Yeah, you're a brave person. And so I think it's important to give yourself some grace, right?
Yeah.
Find space for you, find space to breathe, because if you're not well, no one else is, right? People feel your energy. And, you know, there were things in the beginning of the business where I would be hesitant or afraid or uncomfortable to tell an employee or a manager, and they felt that, right? They feel your energy. So take care of yourself, give yourself some grace, and I mean, there are no lessons. The lesson is the journey.
The lesson is the journey.
She's a gem dropper. We're
gonna keep saying it.
Yeah, no, but I always say this at Baddie Besties, and you can't do anything for anybody unless you take care of yourself first.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like the mask first, right?
Yeah.
The mask. Put your mask on before you put masks on others.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Airplane videos.
I know.
Said it first.
Not you. You're an airline. you're letting us know.
You gotta put your mask
yes,
on, your
for
oxygen mask.
Yeah, for
absolutely.
others. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, even when it comes to women of color,
Yeah.
you know, building something like this, is there any advice you would share to them? Maybe because I know we're first gen, and
Yeah.
I know you can relate. So
Yeah.
anything else maybe you would share to kind of push them forward?
Clearly, I should have talked more about maybe myself in the beginning, because when I opened up VESTER, I wanted so badly for the product to validate the company and the brand that I hid from it. People thought that it was actually a corporate concept. I didn't put my face on anything, and I didn't make it known as me being the founder, even though I was right there serving them.
Yeah.
And because
It's crazy because now it's completely different.
Completely different.
Like
Yeah.
you're the face,
Yes.
like you embody VESTER, but
Yeah.
it's crazy to hear that.
that was the total anti.
Wow.
Yes. And so I think embrace who you are. Don't hide behind the business, especially if you are a woman of color. I think now I understand more importantly than ever, especially in the world that we live in today, put yourself on the platform, show up, talk about your background, talk about your heritage, how you feel about it, and what you're bringing to the table. And, you know, I think it's really important too to know that just because you represent one nationality doesn't mean you have to serve that product,
Yeah,
right? Like,
exactly.
I don't serve Chinese food, and that's okay, right? Like, it's who you are and what you bring to the table. They don't always have to correlate. Exactly. It's not a puzzle piece, right?
Yeah.
But be forward facing and don't be bashful about it.
Absolutely. I mean, being who you are, it is your strength. Like being
Yes.
authentic and showing
Yes.
that to other people, right? I mean, we
You
can
are the
tell.
superpower.
Yeah, you
Yes.
are the superpower.
You are the superpower.
And your brand and what you've built, it's directly tied to who you are. So if anything, I feel like showing up authentically and being a face and showing and sharing your story, right? It connects everyone else to you even more, and it builds your brand up even more. And it's easy because you're who you are. It's easy to be who you are.
Right. In today's age, people want to know who's behind the product more than ever, right? Like, because globalization and conglomerates, they're just corporations out there.
Yeah.
And there's nothing unique or special. And that's, I think, what I loved about traveling, is that when I travel and I go to smaller cities or neighborhoods, I meet the owners of the shops, right? They're there selling and peddling their product,
Or
their
they're
family
making
business.
it.
They're
Yeah.
making it.
Yeah.
Like that, and I'm so happy to spend my money with them, right?
Yeah.
Because I see the founder, the creator, putting forth their product.
Yeah.
And that's something I think I really neglected in the beginning.
Yeah. That brings me on to your legacy. When you think about long-term legacy for VESTER, what is your hope for VESTER? I would say next 5 to 10. I'm not obsessed with that question in terms of the 5 to 10 year plan, but I would love to hear the legacy though.
I personally don't love the idea of defining legacy, because it almost feels like we're on the back end of something. But I think it's
like
important. It's important to keep in mind, right? Like because it reintroduces the idea of your goals.
Yeah.
And I think for me today, the goal for me is to perhaps one day allow what I've created to persist even without me involved in it, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yep.
So if that means mentoring my leaders to be great businesswomen, to be great entrepreneurs, that is something that persists beyond VESTER.
Maybe a franchise
Maybe.
that I can open in Miami.
Yes, please.
Nudge her a little for me.
No, like
Yeah.
maybe a franchise. I don't know. Like I feel like we're in year 7 and we're just getting started.
Wow.
And so to say, you know, what will be if I were, you know, 25 years ahead looking back, I don't know, and I'm okay with that. I think it can manifest in many different ways. It's fluid and it's organic, but it'll be for more than just me. It's past me at this point.
Yeah, that's powerful. Powerful. So we're gonna get into a little fast, fun round here.
Yes.
Because trust me, this is built, honey, not bots. So we're gonna quick one-word answers. We're just gonna run through them really fast.
Yeah.
So matcha or espresso?
Matcha.
Love it.
One city that defines your design taste.
Oh, wait, say that one again.
One city that
One city.
defines your design taste.
Many cities, but I feel like the right answer is Denmark.
I was about to say
Yeah,
because
I
Copenhagen.
feel like
Have to
I
say
have
it.
to, yeah.
Yes, that's the bro.
That's
Shout
the bro.
out. First job ever.
Hostess.
I love it. You feel most powerful when...
I'm in a good outfit.
Ooh.
Today, honey. Most used app while running VESTER.
Google Translate.
Period.
Really? We might need to hear why.
I'm embarrassed to say that I don't speak Spanish well enough.
Why are you embarrassed?
I'm like broken.
Wait, yeah,
Por
why are you-
favor.
It's okay. I live in Miami, and everybody speaks Spanish.
Exactly.
At this point, it
Yeah.
might just be the first language in Miami.
It is,
Spanish.
and
And I'm
as
like,
it-
no
as it should
habla
be.
un poquito.
She's like,
Un poquito.
She needs the Google Translate in Miami.
Google Translate all the
Okay.
time. Yep.
Okay, 2 more questions for you.
Yeah.
What is your go-to outfit when you need to be in boss mode?
This, a blazer. You need a
Power suit.
blazer, and you know, it can be leggings, whatever, but the blazer is key. Ever
Power
since I was in
suit.
7th grade.
7th grade, girl?
Yeah.
Oh.
Express was my thing.
Oh my god, my mom loves Express. This is from Express Girls. I want to get yours, so.
One dish or drink you would keep on the menu forever.
Avocado toast. It is, and it's so simple because I'm like, I almost feel funny saying it because I'm like, it's avocado on a slice of toast. But for whatever reason, since
job.
day one, it's one item that we released on day one that has never changed and has always stayed as a top sales mix item. So I will never change it because I owe that to our community. And the matcha.
Of course. I knew you were going to say the matcha too.
Yes. Introducing this new segment, Live at VESTER, a real live drink demo. And today we are making some ube matcha.
Yeah.
Please.
First of all, we know matcha's all the craze, but you know, here at VESTER, you guys been there, done that before the craze.
Period.
So, you know, it's one thing to buy it at your favorite place. Now we're gonna go into making it. So, Nicole, I wanna know all about the process of making the famous ube matcha at VESTER.
Of course.
Let the girls know.
Absolutely. So matcha, we source our matcha from a local farm in Japan, and we whisk it every day, fresh to order. Today I've sped it up just for efficiency's sake, but what we do is we take our milk of choice. Today we have oat milk,
My fave.
and
For the girlies who don't know, Samira is a matcha girly through and through.
So this is literally, I'm like living, my inner child is so happy right now.
There you go. And so this is the matcha right here, and this matcha with cocoa ube is a special that we started probably, I'd say 2 years ago, but it's become so popular, we've just kept it on the menu. And the name is cocoa ube because it's actually coconut milk frothed with ube. Yes.
Wow.
So that's our little spin on it.
Oh, look at this purple. Wow.
First of all, it's the aesthetics for me.
Right.
Always.
I already want
always.
to drink it.
So question for you though.
Yes.
So how how did you get to the menu development of this? I know you said this was 2 years ago, so what made you say, like, I need ube on the menu?
Well, matcha was such a popular drink for VESTER from the get-go. We're really proud of it, and just coming from an Asian culture, it was really important for me to feature Asian ingredients as much as possible, and I grew up with my mom making ube flavored things for me, so I was like, what better way to combine these awesome, fun Asian flavors, and by chance they're beautiful together too.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this development process, girl, and creating this menu, I mean, tell us about this drink development process and what that was like.
Right, so the drink development process, it changes depending on the drink, but I would say that VESTER really is by the people, for the people. So
By the people, say that again.
by the people, for the people. So I have to give credit to my staff because they are the ones at the front lines, serving our customers, serving our regulars. They know what our regulars want and crave the most. So they're the ones that really pitch the ideas to me. They're like, hey Nicole, we see this trend, or we're being asked for this flavor. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? So all of the specials that you see, it's really my team creating them, coming to me and being like, can we do something fun with that? And that kind of creative freedom is so important for the team as well, and giving them agency. People want to feel heard. People want to have a voice in the brand and in the company that they work for.
Wow, that's amazing.
That speaks to your leadership, right? I wish my boss would listen to me. I have some ideas.
Right.
It's important. It's important. And, you know, of course, I am the gatekeeper for VESTER, the quality, the caliber, and what our footprint is, what is important to us, what are our values. So if something isn't really working out, I'm transparent with them. But I explain to them, okay, these are the reasons why. Maybe this isn't the appropriate place to serve that. Like, VESTER probably wouldn't be a place that you would serve, I don't know, hot dogs. Right. Maybe we could, but probably not the most given thing.
4th of July special.
Right. There you go. An elevated hot dog. Yeah. But for the most part, all of the drink and the food designs, they're either from inspiration from places that I've been, places that I love, or our colleagues that are the ones that are inspiring these ideas, because they're working with our customers and our guests on a daily basis.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You never really hear of, you know, owners and managers, right, who are owning the entire space and leading and making those decisions and holding the standard, right, where it needs to be.
Yes.
But then also asking for you know, thoughts and opinions and taking on what everyone else has to say, right, to make the full picture come true.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, right? There was a matcha shortage. I know that whole craze as well, because so how did you handle it as a business that, you know, the drink is, I know everyone wants it. So
everybody wants it, yes. The demand is high, and with everything going on globally, it's hard to get these high in demand ingredients.
And very like good quality ingredients.
Exactly, yes. And the truth is, if we have something that is a certain caliber and we don't want to sacrifice it, we won't try and find a substitute for it.
Wow.
That's integrity.
Yes, we'll just call it quits or pause on the moment. But fortunately with matcha, we have such amazing partnerships and vendors that support VESTER. Your vendors and your partnerships are as important as your guests, right? Because they're the ones that are giving us our quality items, our everything that people are consuming, putting in their bodies. So to answer your question about the matcha, our partnerships and our vendors, they were able to actually predetermine that matcha shortage. They knew that it was coming. They were like, okay, so 2025, the demand is going to go higher just because of the forecast. And they said, okay, we are going to allot a certain amount for VESTER because they are a top client of ours. So we feel very, very special that we were put on that priority list, and this way we can keep that promise to our guests.
But that speaks also volumes to the partnership that you created with your vendors. This is advice for any other entrepreneurs, small businesses, how important it is to really solidify and create a good partnership with vendors. I know people that are manufacturing, make sure that's in tight as well.
Exactly. Pay your bills. Pay your bills.
Get your bills paid.
They want that money.
Pay early. And keep good relationships. Keep your relationships with your vendors and your reps.
Yes. I mean, that tells us a lot about you and the way that you manage and run your company. You know, the fact that you even have the forecast and have that relationship to be able to be on that priority list says that, you know, you got your checks and orders, your boxes.
We've got to. We have this is our responsibility.
I guess any advice for any small businesses, entrepreneurs that's watching today, what would you say in terms of partnership vendors? I know you mentioned a little bit of snippets, but that you could give them today.
Your vendors and your partnerships are your support group. So it's really important that as a small business owner, you really foster those ties, right? Know who's behind the product, know the product that you're serving, and keep that integrity.
Yeah,
love that.
Yeah. So I have another question I want to ask you. Obviously, this drink right here looks amazing. I can't wait to get my taste later. But I know you have a big menu. I gotta ask you, what's your favorite on the menu?
Oh, gosh. Picking a favorite is tough. It's like picking a favorite child.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like picking a favorite wine. I think it all depends on what time of day it is, what season it is. So I'd say some of my favorites all year round is matcha just the way it is, right? I'm like totally, I like things simple.
Okay.
So as much as the clouds are fun, I like matcha unsweetened, steamed. For me, period. Exactly.
Oh my gosh, you get all the health benefits that way. I feel mine with sugar. I need to do better.
Having a little sugar, it's okay. You gotta be,
I love
you
all
gotta,
that.
yes, no. I mean, the matcha is great, but also I think other specials that I love through the seasons. We had like a blood orange mocha. That was awesome. Yeah, that's really good. And then right now, I think we just finished like a cherry matcha. So of course, like if I had to pick one thing, it's probably steamed simple matcha, but you gotta change it up. Don't have a favorite. It's okay not to.
Oh, I love that. You see, she's a good mom because she didn't choose her favorite.
She said, I want the one that's in every single one, just the matcha base.
I love. Well, it wouldn't be this.
Oh yes.
Stop.
Nicole,
Stop.
you did something with this one, girl.
No, this is sex in a drink. No.
Oh my god. Wow, it's so refreshing. I feel like I needed this all morning when on my drive here. This is what I need. Wow. Okay, hold on. I need more.
Can you bring VESTER to go? Like a VESTER on the go? Yeah, we need it. I need this
Can I
in
take
my
it home?
veins.
Well, that's why we actually have the VESTER cans now, which is super
Tell us
fun.
my job.
So VESTER cans are our own canned beverages that we have matcha, we have all of our signature homemade syrups with a latte base. And so if you can go to VESTER Cambridge, pick up these cans, throw them in their fridge, stock it up, and then you're good to go for the next morning. You don't need to make the commute.
I need this. I need to do 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna need this 3-step process because wow.
You gotta come to VESTER to get it, baby. It's the secret sauce.
Well, do you see what it looks like here, girls? I'm definitely gonna need to pull up.
I guess my question is, are you eventually going to sell these online? What about people that are not in Boston and need these cans?
It's something that we're thinking about. The beverage industry with direct-to-consumer is a industry I'm looking into right now. It is very competitive and there's a lot going on. So I guess the answer there is more to come.
Okay, you heard it here first. I think the biggest thing I have to say, just as a matcha connoisseur, the quality is there. It's not watered down. A lot of cafes now, since the demand is so high,
It has to be rich.
Exactly.
Yes.
A lot of them are not giving me that rich flavor. I'm getting the flavor. The milk isn't overpowering, and the ube is like
a punch.
It is a punch.
Yeah. That's the goal.
Yeah. And it's everything that you need. It's not a want, it's a must, a need. So thank you so much for joining this live segment. Make sure you tap in. We're gonna get into all things Nicole and all things bringing VESTER to life. Thank you so much. Thank you for being, mind you, she's our very first Baddie Besties on the road. We started this mission really to highlight local businesses, empowering women that they too can be a Barbie just like our girl Nicole.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. It's so amazing. So as you know, we may stir the pot.
It's gonna get hot.
But trust.
You just hit the jackpot. Okay.
Love you guys. Make sure you guys check it out. It's going to be streaming on all platforms, and make sure you get you that ube matcha from VESTER. I mean, the list goes on, honey.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
Love you.